Bună ziua, mulțumesc pentru invitație. I would like to thank once again the organizers of this conference for inviting me to share some thoughts and to highlight a couple of points that are featuring the Italian foreign policy agenda in the current days and weeks. And I would like to start by stressing the anniversary of the 75th anniversary of the establishment of our common alliance, NATO, and 20 years from the adhesion of Romania to the Atlantic Alliance. Today and tomorrow, the foreign ministers of the alliance will are gathering in Brussels, and in their agenda there is the discussion of an important report which Italy has strongly advocated for, a report by a group of experts appointed by Secretary General Stoltenberg to examine the prospects of NATO projection on the southern flank of the alliance. Why the southern flank? Because the southern neighborhood of the Atlantic Alliance feature a lot of challenges and opportunities, and we need to strengthen the dialogue with partners in the Middle East, in North Africa, in Sahel, in Sub-Saharan Africa. The southern neighborhood, without neglecting, of course, the war, the aggression war by Russian Federation to Ukraine, is important because the southern neighborhood underlines to all of us the diversified and manifold challenges and threats that are posed to our security and our prosperity. It's exactly in those regions, areas, and countries that we are also called to counter Russia and China influence in those countries. Southern neighborhood is a key factor also for Euro-Atlantic stability and security. And I believe this is an important element for the common reflection and awareness towards the NATO-Washington summit in July this year. Among the proposals made by the group of experts on the southern flank, there is the creation of a NATO special envoy or special representative for the south, which may demonstrate consistency and proximity to those countries, and which will be able also to help the alliance to invest more in public diplomacy activities in order also to counter disinformation campaigns and to propose a new image of NATO. And I come to the important issue of fighting the information manipulation. We have seen how first the pandemic, then the war of aggression unleashed by Russia against Ukraine, and also the conflict in the Middle East have accelerated the processes already in place to counter disinformation and information manipulation. Italy also, in its capacity of G7 presidency this year, believes that preventing, detecting, and fighting disinformation, misinformation, and information manipulation require a range of initiatives and mechanisms aimed at building resilience in our economies and our societies, and also co-regulating the infosphere and the digital space. Currently, Italy is committed in monitoring and information activities in the framework of several multilateral fora, the European Union, of course, NATO, of course, OECD, and like-minded fora, along with Romania. Of course, we made these issues a priority also of the Italian G7 presidency. In that framework, a working group called Rapid Response Mechanism is currently addressing the implications of artificial intelligence in hybrid threats, disinformation flows during round of elections, and the analysis of the infosphere in Africa and the Middle East. The digital agenda, artificial intelligence, and digital infrastructure, as well as the virtual platform for investments in Africa, which is a joint initiative by the African Union and the OECD, are also at the center of the cooperation between the Italian G7 presidency and the OECD. We are now committed in drafting a charter for artificial intelligence governance. The objective of my government is to define adequate governance model of artificial intelligence that will not discourage innovation capability while fixing ethical criteria for its use. I recall what Prime Minister Meloni said at last UN General Assembly in New York when she spoke about algorithmics. So this would be one of the deliverables of the Apulia G7 summit next June. Our goal, our ambition is to draft an action plan on the integration of artificial intelligence in the labor markets. And one last final remark, which is of special interest also for Romania, is that in the framework of the cooperation between Italian G7 presidency and the OECD, we are working back-to-back with the OECD Secretariat in order to host in Stresa, in Italy, in the margins of the next G7 Finance Ministerial meeting, a side event to launch the updated OECD guidelines on the corporate governance of state-owned enterprises. I believe this is also a key point, a relevant point for Romania for its process of accession to the OECD, because these guidelines are the only international global standard recognized for the governance of public companies. And their revision, the revision of these guidelines, will be endorsed at the OECD ministerial next May. So in the framework of the accession process of Romania to the OECD, this is an important step forward to take stock of these guidelines and to reform local markets. Thank you very much.